brothers and sisters. It's another fine day in the life of this channel this morning. And actually, since earlier this week, my brothers and I have been working on exposing a fraud and a virus inside ourselves. A person whose name I need not mention. These files are posted in reports on my wall about this person and his actions against multiple people, even going so far as to put out hits on various members in our satanic community, trying to force people to get rid of them for him, because obviously he couldn't do it by himself. But that's not what today's video is about, because why worry about one worthless person? So today's video, as I said it would be, is a combination of zero-level magical instruction and a technique that I like to refer to as the soul song. Now, let's start with our instruction. Zero-level magic, what does it mean? It means a bunch of things to a bunch of people. In the tarot deck, the zero is the fool. And in the Necronomicon, the fool stands for the one who can create almost all of existence through piping endlessly, but has absolutely no control over any of it, and has to eat it simply to survive. Now, what does this mean as an example? What is the fool's level of magic? It basically defines somebody who knows magic exists and can feel it, sense it, see it, use it a little bit, knows it works, but they don't know how to control it. And so this is a problem that exists with lots of people at lots of different levels of training. How do I actually control this rather than just do rituals and say names and invoke spirits and all this kind of stuff? How do I actually control the purpose of all this? It's actually not as difficult as it sounds, but to get to that point, you have to understand a few things first. Now, let's start with, what am I talking about? What is this thing that you're manipulating inside yourself? In Christianity, they call it a soul, but to the rest of us, it's more like energy. In magic, it's generally referred to as your center. So, what is all these different terminologies? What do they mean? What does it talk about? A simple question to those who actually practice magic, understand it to some extent. When you go about your everyday life and you see who you are and what you do in your actions, and then focus specifically on one night when you're doing a ritual and look at the differences in you as an individual. Not just your actions, but something that's defined more with feeling. Something in here. And it's something that nobody else can tell you whether or not it's there, because you can feel it. And if you can feel something inside you, it has to be generally real. So, now we've defined what we're talking about. We're talking about the manipulation of what you would call your own spirit. But what is this? Where does it come from? Well, to Satanists, I ask this question. We'll use a little visualization example, because I know my brothers and sisters are very good at visualizing things. They're all intelligent people. So, I'll ask everybody to go ahead and just do this, because this is what I do to functionalize why I'm a Satanist, is just close my eyes and visualize this particular thing. So, to everybody that chooses to do this, close your eyes. Now, you just saw a computer screen or a phone screen or something in front of you, right? So you can still see it. It's still there. You just don't have your eyes open. But you can recognize that it's still there because you can hear my voice. Now, look out past that and see yourself from the external perspective. You can see yourself doing whatever it was you were just doing, whether it was sitting at a computer or walking down the street or talking to your friends or whatever it was you were just doing. You can see this, but from outside yourself. Now, go out further than that and see all the people around you, whether you can hear their voices and hear arguments and fighting, or whether or not you hear any number of things. See all those people all at once, and then pull out further than that and see everybody that lives in your area, whether it be city, state, however you want to functionalize that, country, whatever you want to pull back to, and then go back even further than that and see the entire continent you live on, and then go back even further than that and see the entire planet Earth, and then go back further than that and see the entire galaxy that we live in, and then go back even further than that and see every galaxy in the area, and keep going back until you go past dimension walls and form and function and way past into the void and see all the universe going like this together in a circle. Now, from this point, every ounce of darkness that exists inside this circle is what I refer to as Father and Satan. Does that mean that other people don't see the term Satan differently? Sure, there's a bunch of different definitions. But the Word defines this age's definition for the essence of all darkness. People argue that it's this being or that being, but honestly, what it boils down to is it's not one of them. It's all of them. And every other dark thing that's ever existed. In science, they call this dark matter. And they know it exists. They don't really understand it. They don't really understand what to do with it. They talk about it a lot. But even beyond the simple dark matter, there's all this dark void, all this space that seems to have nothing in it. But wait, there's galaxies and stars and planets, so there is something in it. But if the darkness and the void weren't there, then all those planets and those stars would collide with one another, burn each other up. Therefore, there's a multitude of black holes and black holes that whole galaxies spin around and all these different things that keep everything semi-stable. Doesn't that sound kind of thought out to you? Because the Father I serve is the one that's existed from the moment when chaos first split. And from that moment on, it has always existed. Call it anything you want. Darkness is the same. Because every piece of the darkness, whether they be human, demon, dragon, whatever you want to call that, they all exist somewhere inside the darkness. And if they exist inside the darkness, how can they be all of it? So, understand from now on, brothers and sisters, when you speak to me and I say Father or He, and I refer to Him, that I'm not talking about a single thought form or a single goal or a single mission. I'm talking about the thing that has existed since long before us, and especially if we keep fucking around the way we do, will exist long after we are all dead and gone. So anyway, that's that part of the discussion. Now, you understand what it means, the difference between you physically and the you that's inside, the spirit. Now you understand all that we as children of darkness connect to. Because by being a part of that darkness, you have the ability to tap into it. And it could be any number of things that allow you to do so. But for the most part, it's all what you can manage to figure out up here and what you can do with it. I personally was trained for years. I was trained, as the people that were there can attest, very vigorously while I was serving in Iraq, even though I was being harassed by everybody for one thing. I trained very harshly while I was living with my buddy Fenris in Tennessee. And I've continued to train in one way or another ever since then. I've trained under different instructors. define what that means, you now know what I mean when I say the connection between you individually and Satan, all there is. So in between that, there are a whole lot of different little points you can hit. These aren't simple points on a grid map. These are actual beings that exist, whether they existed then or now. Because the spirit has no definition in time and space. Therefore, the spirit can easily move through time, whereas the physical flesh, not so much. So, to say to yourself that the spirit of somebody who existed 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 100 million years ago, whatever you want to say that it is not possible for them to move forward in time and understand the things that will occur as a facet of trying to understand what to do in the first place to help and not prevent it from destroying itself. You can now understand that it doesn't matter what you want to define. There are a great deal many things in the darkness. And lots of people like to use a lot of names. They like to talk about who they are reborn, all this stuff. But I will say that personally I have had some of the greatest instructors that one could hope to have. And I don't need to use the names of people because I wasn't trained by people. I was in the Army, being treated harshly by everybody in my chain of command while training under Belial in basic magic. And then I went to Tennessee and moved on to my training under Abaddon because he had special magic that he needed to teach me so that I would understand it and learn how to use it. But he also taught me the process of channeling, which is something that most people can't do without having it wreck their mind. Because as soon as they start to channel, they start to consider themselves the same as what they're channeling. And then they go off on rampages about how they're the greatest thing since sliced bread and everybody needs to bow down and kiss their ass. Oh, I hear this so much, it makes me just want to bust myself laughing. Because it's a failure in magic. Because they don't know how to control it. They might have a talent for it, but they can't control it. Why? Because they don't understand the concepts of magic well enough to even begin to. I had this happen recently with someone that came to me, got some basic magic instruction, and then ran off and all of a sudden started proclaiming that I think he said he was Horus, and then he told one of our sisters that she was Babylon and she needed to be with him so that they could go save Egypt. You see this kind of shit and what it causes when you don't know how to control magic and you're trying to use it anyway? So now we've defined understanding, connection, and even the problems that can occur when you try to connect too far and you don't know what you're doing. So now we're going to move on to the second part of our video, which, yes, we will be cutting this short for part one, because the second part of this video is a basic training exercise and the explanation of it that will be used to define what a soul song is and how to use it as a way to both understand and enhance your own internal spirit. Hail to the Father and all his true children.